Hello everyone. We are back again with lecture number 8 of machine learning. And in today's lecture, I'm going to continue with the last lecture where I have told you some classification algorithm that we have seen. Like the one we have done yesterday was decision tree algorithm. Now I'm continuing with the next set of algorithm, which is called rule-based learning. So today I'm going to cover up the rule-based learning algorithm. So stay calm and keep on watching. What is rule based learning? So, my dear friends, rule based machine learning, or in short, if we call it RBML, that is rule based machine learning, it is basically a term in computer science which is intended to encompass any machine learning method that identifies, learns, or evolves rules to store, manipulate, or apply. Now, the defining characteristics of a rule-based machine learner is the identification and utilization of a set of relational rules that collectively represents the knowledge captured by the system. This is in contrast to other machine learners that commonly identify a singular mode that can be universally applied to any instance in order to make a prediction. So, a rule-based machine learning approach, it includes the learning classifier system, the association rule learning, the artificial immune systems, and any other method that relies on a set of rules, each covering contextual knowledge. While rule-based machine learning is conceptually a type of rule-based system, it is distinct from traditional rule-based systems. How? Which are often handcrafted and other rule-based decision makers. This is because the rule-based machine learning applies some form of learning algorithm to automatically identify useful rules rather than a human needing to apply prior domain knowledge to manually construct the rules and curate a rule set. So, what exactly are the rules in the rule based machine learning? Let us understand it. Now, see, the rules typically take the form of if then condition. If the condition is met out, then what will be the result? So, so this is a common expression that we can use, or as a more specific example, you can say, like, for example, if the color is red, then it signals stop. If the color is green, it signifies you can go. So these are the if then else condition that can be used in machine learning. So an individual rule is not in itself a model, since the rules is only applicable when it is condition is satisfied. Now, therefore, rule-based machine learning methods typically comprise a set of rules or a knowledge base that collectively make up the prediction model. Right. Now, we'll understand some of the few, the basic rule-based machine learning algorithms here, which we'll understand. So let us just quickly go through it. As I told you, it is based on the condition of if else, where condition is a conjunction of attributes. Attributes are the features related to an object, and by is the class label, right? Now, LHS, the left hand side of the rule, the left hand side of the if then rule, LHS is the rule antecedent, or it is a condition which should be met out, whether it should be true or it should be false. Next, we have right hand side, which is a rule consequent. What will happen if the condition is met, and what will happen if the condition is not met? So RHS will always tell you the consequent part. Example, you can take if the blood is warm, then the birds lay eggs. Or let's say if somebody has the income of 50,000, then he has to pay tax or not. So these can be the things based on rule based learning. Here you can see the classifier made for on the basis of rule based learning. Here are the some classification things. We have the name of the entities, Then we have some of their attributes like what is the blood type, do they give birth, do they fly, or they live in water. Then on the basis of this, how can we identify them, how can we classify them? So we have made different classes. So on the basis of, on the basis of the attributes, we can, classify all the things into some things. Like human is classified on the basis of these attributes, it is classified to be mammals. Like there is a salmon fish, on the basis of these attributes we can classify them in the fishes section. Then there is an owl, on the basis of the attributes we are, classifying the owl into birds. So this is what we can do using the classifications. Now, see, the rules are very easier to understand than the large trees, as we have seen previously the decision tree part, where you have seen, on the basis of the attributes, we can, branch the trees, like top-down approach we can use. We can, feasibly branch each and every attributes, and we have to move on till we reach a terminal point. So sometimes we have seen the disadvantage of decision tree as well, that, sometimes what happens is in the presence of so many attributes the decision tree becomes very complex, and it will be very hard for us to, decide at what point we want to terminate. So this is a very crucial task. So in comparison to, making a decision tree, this rule based algorithm is much better and much faster. It is not that much complicated because, it is based on simple rules. If a condition is meeting out, we can have a positive result. If the condition is not meeting out, we can have some kind of a negative result. So it is as simple as that we can use. Here you can see each attribute value pair along a path forms a conjunction. The leaf holds the class prediction. So sometimes, it gets very harder, and it is getting very complex if we take out the decision problem here. So I'm quickly going to tell you about the learning classifier system first. Let us understand what is learning classifier. So see, the learning classifier systems, which are based on rule-based system, they are also called LCS. They are actually a paradigm of rule-based machine learning methods that combine a discovery component. Typically, it could be a generating algorithm with a learning component, which perform either supervised learning, or it can perform reinforcement learning, or an unsupervised learning algorithm. So learning classifier systems basically seek to identify a set of context dependent rules that collectively store and apply knowledge in a piecewise manner in order to make predictions, right? Now, it could be, behavior modeling, it could be classification, it could be data mining, regression, function approximation, or any kind of game strategy. So this approach allows complex solution spaces to be broken up into small, simple parts. Now, let us just, further think of it. What is the methodology of this LCS? See, the architecture and the components of a given learning classifier system can be quite variable. It is useful to think of an LCS as a machine consisting of several interacting components. And the components may be added or removed, or existing components can be modified or exchanged to suit the demands of a given problem domain, like, algorithm building blocks, or to make the algorithms flexible enough to function in many different problem domains. As a result, the LCS paradigm can be flexibly applied to many problem domains like algorithm building blocks, or to make the algorithms flexible enough to function in many different domains. Now, see, uh, for example, XCS, the best known and the best studied LCS algorithm, is Michigan style. It was designed for reinforcement learning, but can also perform supervised learning algorithm as well. And it applies incremental learning that can be either online or offline. It applies accuracy-based fitness and seeks to generate a complete acting mapping. Right. Now, what are the elements of generic LCS algorithm? See, keeping in mind that LCS is a paradigm for, genetic-based machine learning rather than a specific method. The following outlines, I'm going to tell you the following outlines, that key elements of a generic modern post XCS LCS algorithm. Now, for simplicity, let us focus on the Michigan style architecture with the supervised learning. So, let us see. First of all, we have the component as the environment. Now, uh, just a moment. Now, see the environment that we were talking about the elements of the generic algorithm. The first element is environment, and it is the source of the data upon which the LCS algorithm learns. It can be offline, finite training data set, or an online sequential stream of live training instances. Each training instance is assumed to include some number of features, which are also called attributes, which involve feature selection. Therefore, uh, you know, and it has a single endpoint of interest, which is also referred to as class. It could be action, it could be phenotype, it could be prediction, or dependent variable. Now, part of LCS learning can involve feature selection. Therefore, not all the features in the training data need to be informative. The set of features values of an instance is commonly referred to as the environment, as the state. Now, for simplicity, let us assume an example problem domain with Boolean variable features and a Boolean class. Now, for Michigan style systems, one instance from the environment is trained on each training cycle, on each learning cycle, and the Pittsburgh style system performs batch learning where rule sets are evaluated each iteration over much of all the training data. Now, the second element of LCS algorithm is the rule and classification or the classifier population, right? Now, see, a rule is a context-dependent relationship between state values and some predictions, right? Now, rules typically take the form of an if-then expression. If the condition, then the action. So, as a more specific example, we have seen like if I told you that if there is a red light, then it signifies the stop sign. So a critical concept in LCS and rule-based machine learnings are is that an individual rule is not in itself a model. Since the rule is only applicable when its condition is satisfied, think of a rule as a local model of a solution space. Now see, the rules can be represented in many different ways to handle different data types, like there could be binary, discrete value, ordinal, continuous value, there can be any type of data. Now given the binary data, LCS traditionally applies a ternary rule representation, that is the rules that can include either a 0, 1 or a hash for each feature in the data. Now, the don't care symbol like hash serve as a wildcard within a rules condition, allowing rules and the system as a whole to generalize relationship between the features and the target endpoints to be predicted. Consider the following rule like hash one, that is condition action. Now this rule can be interpreted as if the second feature is equals to one and the sixth feature is equals to zero, then the class prediction is equals to one. So we would say that the second and the sixth feature were specified in this rule, while the other features were generalized. So this rule and the corresponding prediction are only applicable to an instance when the condition of the rule is satisfied by the instance. So this is more commonly referred to as or as matching. And in Michigan style LCS, each rule has its own fitness as well as a number of other rule parameters associated with it can describe the number of copies of that rule that exist, right? Now the age of rule, its accuracy or the accuracy of its reward predictions and other descriptive or experimental statistics. A rule, along with its parameters, is often referred to as classifiers. So understand this thing. It is a bit confusing for some people that they don't understand what exactly is a classifier. So classifier is nothing but a rule with the help with the parameters list. So in Michigan style systems, classifiers are contained within a population that has a user defined maximum number of classifiers. Unlike most stochastic search algorithms, LCS populations start out empty and the classifiers will instead be initially introduced to the population with a covering mechanism. So in any LCS, the trained model is a set of rules or classifiers rather than any single classifier. So in Michigan style LCS, the entire trained and optionally and compacted classifier population forms the prediction model. Now the third component of this rule based learning is matching. Now, see, one of the most critical and uh, often time-consuming elements of an LCS is the matching process. The first step in an LCS learning cycle takes a single training instance from the environment and passes it to P, where matching takes place. In step 2, every rule in P is now compared to the training instance to see which rule match, that is, are contextually relevant to the current instance or not. Now, in step number 3, any matching rule are moved to a match set, that is M. Then a rule matches a training instance if all the feature values specified in the rule conditions are equivalent to corresponding feature value in the training instance. For example, assuming the training instance is let's say 001001, that tends to be 0. Now these rules would match uh, 0 hash and 0, but these rules would not match 1 0. So notice that in matching, the endpoints or the action specified by the rule is not taken into consideration. As a result, the match set may contain classifiers that propose conflicting actions. In the fourth step, since we are performing supervised learning, the M is divided into a correct set, that is C, and an incorrect set, that is I. A matching rule goes into the correct set if proposes the correct action based on the known action of the training instance. Otherwise, it goes into the incorrect section. So, in reinforcement learning LCS, an action set A would be formed here instead, since the correct action is not known, right? Now, the next component or the element of LCS algorithm is the covering. Now, what is covering? Now, at this point in the learning cycle, if no classifiers made it into either the M or the C, as would be the case when the population starts off empty, the covering mechanism is applied as a fifth step. Right. Now, covering is a form of online smart population initialization. Covering randomly generates a rule that matches the current training instance, and in the case of supervised learning, that rule is also generated with the correct action. Right. Now, assuming the training instance is 00100120, covering might generate any of the following rules. So covering not only ensures that each learning cycle there is at least one correct matching rule in C, but that any rule initialized into the population will match at least one training instance. So this prevents LCS from exploring the searching space of rules that do not match any training instances. Next set of elements is parameter update, credit assignment, and learning. So in the sixth step, the rule parameters of any rule in M are updated to reflect the new experience gained from the current training instance depending on the LCS algorithm. A number of updates can take place at this step. Now for supervised learning, we can simply update the accuracy or the error of a rule. Rule accuracy or error is something different than model accuracy error, since it is not calculated over the entire training data but only overall instances that is matched. Rule accuracy is calculated by dividing the number of items or number of times the rule was in correct set, that is C, by the number of times it was in match set N. So rule accuracy can be thought of as a local accuracy, and rule fitness is also updated here and is commonly calculated as a function of rule accuracy. The concept of fitness is taken directly from classic generic algorithm. Be aware that there are variations on how LCS updates parameters in order to perform cell assignment and learning. Now, the subsumption. In the seventh step, a sub-assumption mechanism is typically applied. Sub-assumption is an explicit generalization mechanism that merges classifiers that cover redundant parts of the problem space. The subsuming classifier effectively absorbs the subassumed classifier. This can only happen when the subsuming classifier is more general, just as accurate, and covers all the problem space of the classifier it subsumes. Now, the next set is rule discovery and genetic algorithm. In the eighth step, LCS adopts. In the eighth step, what happens is LCS adopts a highly atelistic generic algorithm, which we call GA, which will select the two parent classifiers based on it is based which will select two parent classifiers based on the fitness or the theory of survival of the fittest, or the parents are selected from C, typically using tournament selection. Now some systems have applied roulette wheel selection or deterministic selection and have differently selected parents rule from either P, Panmicitic selection, or from N. So crossover and mutation operators are now applied to generate two new offspring rules. At this point, both the parents and offspring rules are returned to P. The LCS generic algorithm is highly atelist since each learning iteration, the vast majority of population is preserved. Rule discovery may alternatively performed by some other methods such as estimation of distribution algorithm, but a GA is by far the most common approach. Evolutionary algorithms like the GA employ a stochastic search which makes LCS a stochastic algorithm. LCS seeks to cleverly explore the search space but does not perform an exhaustive search of rule combinations and is not guaranteed to converge on an optimal solution. Now, the next set is deletion. Now, the last step in generic, LCS learning cycle is to maintain the maximum population size. The deletion mechanism will select classifiers for deletion using roulette wheel selection. The probability of a classifier being selected for deletion is inversely proportional to its fitness. When a classifier is selected for deletion, its numerosity parameter is reduced by 1. When the numerosity of a classifier is reduced to 0, it is removed entirely from the population. Then comes the training part. LCS will cycle through these steps repeatedly for some user-defined number of training iterations, or until some user-defined termination criteria have been met. For online learning, LCS will obtain a completely new training instance each iteration from the environment. For offline learning, LCS will iterate through a finite training data set. Once it reaches the last instance in the data set, it will go back to the first instance and cycle through the data set again. Then, what will be the rule compaction? Now, once training is complete, the rule population will inevitably contain some poor, redundant, and inexperienced rules. It is common to apply a rule compaction or condensation heuristics as a post-processing step. This resulting compacted rule population is ready to be applied as a prediction model. Example, make predictions on testing instances and to be interpreted for knowledge discovery. Now, how would it do the prediction? See, whether or not rule complexion has been applied, the output of an LCS algorithm is a population of classifiers which can be applied to making predictions on previously unseen instances. The prediction mechanism is not part of the supervised LCS learning cycle itself. However, it would play an important role in a reinforcement learning LCS learning cycle. For now, we consider how the prediction mechanisms can be applied for making predictions to test data. When making predictions, the LCS learning components are deactivated so that population does not continue to learn from incoming testing data. A test instance is passed to P where a match set M is formed as usual. At this point, the match set is differently passed to a prediction array. Rules in the match set can predict different actions. Therefore, a voting mechanism is applied. In a simple voting scheme, the action with the strongest supporting votes from matching rules wins and becomes the selected prediction. All rules do not get an equal vote. Rather, the strength of the vote for a single rule is commonly proportional to its numerosity and fitness. This voting scheme and the nature of how LCS stored knowledge suggest that LCS algorithms are implicitly ensemble learners. Now, what is the interpretation of all this? See, individual LCS rules are typically human readable. They are of the form if then expression. Rules that constitute the LCS prediction model can be ranked by different rule parameters and they are manually inspected. Global strategies to guide knowledge discovery using statistical and graphical have also been proposed. With respect to other advanced machine learning approaches such as artificial neural networks, random forest, or genetic programming, learning classifier systems are particularly well suited to problems that require interpretable solutions. So this was learning through rule based system, learning classifier system. Now we'll quickly see what is associative rule learning. See, associative rule learning is a rule-based machine learning method for discovering interesting relations between variables in large databases. It is intended to identify strong rules discovered in databases using some measurements or measures of interestingness. Based on the concept of strong rules, some of the inventors like Rakesh Agarwal and then Thomas Arun Swami, they introduced association rules for discovering regularities between products in large-scale transaction data recorded by point of sale. For example, the rule onions and potatoes are required for burger found in the sales data of a supermarket would indicate that if a customers buy onions and potatoes together, they are likely to, also buy a hamburger meat. Now, such information can be used on the basis of decisions about marketing activities like promotional pricing or product placements. Now, in addition to the above example from the market based analysis, the association rules are applied today in many application areas, including uh, web usage mining, intrusion detection, continuous production, and bioinformatics. In contrast with sequence mining, association rule learning typically does not consider the order of items either within a transaction or across transactions. Now, how will we define association rule mining? Now, see, the original definition by Agarwal, by the definition that they do, the problem of association rule mining can be defined as I, which is a set of binary attributes called items. There could be n number of items. Similarly, there is a set of transactions which we call the databases. We are defining it as T1, T2, T3, T4, like till T. So each transaction in D has a unique transaction ID and contains a subset of items in I. A rule is defined as an implication of the form X implies Y, X arrow Y. And both these X and Y are subsets of I. Now, A rule is defined only between a set and a single item, like the X tends to from I to J, and I here belongs to in item set. So every rule is composed by two different set of items, also known as item sets, X and Y, where X is called the antecedent and the left, or we can call it left hand side, and Y is called the consequent, or we can say the right hand side. Okay. Now, to illustrate the concepts, we use a small example from the supermarket domain. The set of item is I, like milk, bread, butter, beer, diapers, can be anything. And in the table, if we make a table of the database, it contains the item wherein each entry, the value 1 means the presence of the item in the corresponding transaction, and the value 0 represents the absence of an item in that transaction. An example rule for the supermarket could be, butter bread implies milk, meaning that if butter and bread are bought, customers also buy milk. This example is, it is very extremely small, but in practical application, a rule needs the support of several hundred transactions before it can be considered statistically significant. And data sets often contain thousands or millions of such transactions. So now we'll just quickly see what are some of the useful concepts in it. So, in order to select interesting rules from the set of all possible rules, constraints on various measures of significance and interest are used. The best known constraints are minimum thresholds on support and confidence. Let xy be the item sets where x implies y. This is an association rule, and T a set of transaction on a given database. So on the basis of that, we have two useful concepts, that is called support, which is an indication of how frequently the item set appears in the data set, and the confidence, which is an indication of how often the rule has been found to be true. And the next component is called the lift in it. Now, what is lift? The lift of a rule can be defined as lift, which implies from x to y, which is a support x union y divided by the support x multiplied by support y. It is of the ratio of the observed support to that expected if x and y were independent, right? Now, if the rule had a lift of 1, it would imply that the probability of occurrence of an antecedent and that of the consequent are independent of each other. Now, when two events are independent of each other, no rule can be drawn involving those two events. So, if the lift is greater than 1, that lets us know that the degree to which those two occurrences are dependent on one another and makes those rules potentially useful for predicting the consequent in future data sets. Now, if the lift is less than 1, that lets us know that the items are substitute to each other. This means that the presence of one item has negative effect on presence of other item and vice versa. So the value of the lift is that it considers both the support of the rule and the overall data set. There are alternative measures also for the interestingness. In addition to the confidence, other measures of interestingness for rules have been proposed. Some of the popular measures are all confidence, collective strength, and leverage. So several more measures are presented and compared by very many researchers looking for techniques that can model what the user has known, and is currently an active research trend under the name of subjective interestingness. Right. So next, we would say what exactly is a process in association rule. So association rules are usually required to satisfy a user specified minimum support and user specified minimum confidence at the same time. Association rule generation is usually split up into two different steps. One is the minimum support threshold, which is applied to find all the frequent item set in a database, and two A minimum confidence constraint is applied to these frequent item set in order to form rules. While the second step is straightforward, the first step needs more attention. Finding all the frequent item data sets in a database is difficult since it involves searching all possible item sets or item combinations. So, the set of possible item sets is the power set over item set and has 2 raised to the power n minus 1 item set. Although the size of the power set grows exponentially in the number of items n in I, efficient search is possible using the downward closure property of support, also called anti-monosity, which guarantees that for a frequent item set, all its subsets are also frequent and thus no infrequent item set can be a subset of frequent item set. Exploiting this property, efficient algorithms can find all the frequent item sets. So this was about the rule-based learning that we have seen today, and we have seen the two different classifiers, two different algorithms. One is the learning classifier system, shortly called LCS, and another one is the associative rule learning. I hope these two things are clear to all of you here in this lecture, and in the next lectures I'm coming out with more such algorithms to meet up. So till then, I'm stopping this presentation here, and now I'm going to give you 10 MCQs on the basis of learnings that we have done today. Please do it and just check your knowledge that whatever you have gained, are you able to answer the questions that we have today. So I'm stopping this presentation here and I'm quickly going to share MCQs with all of you. Kindly go through the MCQs and try to answer the correct question on the basis of learnings that we have done today. So here are your questions. These are question number 1 and 2. Rule-based systems are also known as Now, I hope you were able to answer these two questions. Let us take next two questions here. A rule-based system can simply be created by using assertions, the rules, set of assertions, or all of the above. It is as simple as that. Then we have a fourth question which says, if P then Q, which is also equivalent to, how would you do that? I told you this condition needs to have implication symbol. So out of the four, whichever you think is an implication, you can answer that correct question. Now these are the two next questions that we have. These are actually the assertions and should be anything relevant to the beginning state of the system. Set of facts, set of rules, termination criteria, or none of the above. So what do you think out of these four answers, whichever suits best for this? Now, if temperature is less than 0, then what is the data in the statement? 0, less than 0, temperature, or temperature is less than 0? What do you think according to rule-based learning? Which of the option is correct according to you? Now, this is set of next two questions. Which of the following is false? Go through it and try to answer. A knowledge engineer has the job of extracting knowledge from an expert and building the expert system knowledge base. An expert system is a computer program that contains some of the subject specific knowledge of one or more human experts. Then, a rule based system consists of a bunch of if then rules. And fourth option says, in a backward chaining system, you start with the initial facts and keep using the rules to draw new conclusion or take new actions given those facts. Now we have question number 8. This says autonomous question or answering systems are whether they are expert systems, are they rule based expert system, are they decision tree based systems, or all of the above in fact. Now let me share the second set of questions to you. These are the two last questions that you have to answer. Which of the following is true? A cadet is used for early cancer detection. Then we have PXDES, which is Medical Expert System for Diagnosis of Lung Disease. There are primarily two modes of for an inference engine, forward chaining and backward chaining, or if you have all the above. So just try to answer quickly. And the last question that we have is which chaining rule has inductive approach? Is it the forward chaining? Is it the backward chaining? The spanning chaining? Or all of the above? So I hope you were able to answer all these questions. Let me take you through the questions again once. So I hope all these things were clear to you. So, in today's lecture, we have seen the classifications on the basis of supervised learning algorithm, where we have taken up the learning classifier system or the learning classifiers, and we have seen a second algorithm which is called association rule mining. So, these two algorithms we have discussed today, and in the coming lectures, I'm going to discuss further more important and very famous classification algorithms that are there. So we are going to discuss all of them. Till then, please go through the previous lectures that we have seen. Please go through the supervised learning. What is it? What kind of classification does it do? And the other important concepts that we have seen in the previous classes. Keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.